Look at them rushing.
My friend, slow down. The day is long.
Angalia hawa, kazi tu.
Wacha stressful, bana. Maisha ni kujifeel.
Not long ago, in the restless and ever-awake city of Nairobi, there lived a young man who believed he had discovered a secret to success. While millions of people woke before sunrise, fighting through traffic and sweat to earn an honest living, this young man believed they were all making the same mistake. He believed hard work was for the slow and unlucky. He believed the smartest people in life always found shortcuts. He dreamed of expensive cars, shiny watches, and a life where money flowed easily into his pockets. But one day, something happened that shattered his illusions forever. Kamau lived in a small iron sheet house in one of Nairobi's crowded neighborhoods, where the streets were always alive with the sounds of vendors calling out their prices, matators honking impatiently, and children chasing worn footballs through dusty alleys. Every morning before the sun rose, the city stretched awake like a giant creature, and thousands of people hurried to work with determination on their faces. Kamau's mother, Mama Wanjiku, was always among them. She ran a tiny food stall near a busy bus stop where she sold tea, mandotsi, and chapati to office workers rushing into the city center. But Kamau was very different from his hardworking mother. At 22 years old, he spent most of his days sleeping late or wandering around the neighborhood with his friends. While others searched for jobs or learned new skills, Kamau preferred sitting outside small shops, laughing, chatting, and dreaming of becoming rich without effort. In his mind, the world belonged to clever people who knew how to beat the system, not those who woke up before sunrise to struggle for small wages. One morning, as sunlight filtered through the thin curtains of their small home, Mama Wanjiku knocked gently on Kamau's bedroom door. She had already been awake for hours, preparing dough and boiling tea for her food stall. Her hands were tired and her back ached, but she carried herself with quiet determination. "Kamau," she called softly, "it is already morning. Aren't you going to look for work today?" Inside the room, Kamau groaned and pulled his blanket over his head, unwilling to face the day. When he finally stepped outside hours later, he met his friends Otieno and Musa sitting near a roadside kiosk. They were discussing jobs they had heard about around the city. Otieno mentioned that a construction company nearby was hiring young men to help carry building materials. The pay was modest but steady. Kamau laughed loudly at the idea. "You expect me to carry cement all day like a donkey," he said proudly. "No, my friends. I'm waiting for something better, something smart. Real success doesn't come from sweating like that." One evening, while wandering through the busy streets of downtown Nairobi, Kamau noticed a sleek black car pulling up near a cafe. The man stepping out of the car looked strangely familiar. When Kamau looked closer, he realized it was Brian, a former schoolmate he had not seen for years. But Brian was no longer the skinny boy Kamau remembered. He wore expensive sunglasses, a polished watch, and clothes that spoke of money and confidence. Kamau approached him eagerly, amazed at the transformation. "Brian. My brother, look at you," he exclaimed. Brian smiled calmly and greeted him warmly. As they talked, Kamau couldn't stop staring at the car. Finally he asked the question burning in his mind. "How did you become so successful?" Brian leaned closer and lowered his voice slightly. "Let's just say I discovered that in this city, the fastest way to wealth is not always the legal way." Those words echoed inside Kamau's mind like music. The next night, Kamau met Brian in a quiet parking lot on the edge of the city. The air was cool, and the distant sounds of traffic hummed in the background. Two unfamiliar men stood beside Brian, watching silently. Brian explained that Nairobi was full of wealthy people who hardly noticed when small amounts of money disappeared from their accounts. With the right plan, he said, they could make more money in one night than some workers earned in months. Kamau felt a strange mixture of excitement and fear rising inside him. Something about the plan felt dangerous, but the promise of fast money blinded him to the risks. He imagined himself buying expensive clothes, driving flashy cars, then finally proving to everyone that he was destined for greatness. When Brian asked if he was ready to join them, Kamau hesitated only for a moment before nodding firmly. In that instant, he stepped onto a path that would soon test everything he believed about life. The plan seemed simple at first, but as the night unfolded, things began to go terribly wrong. What Brian had described as an easy operation quickly became chaotic and frightening. Sirens echoed in the distance, flashing lights appeared where there should have been darkness, and the confident smiles on the faces of Brian and his companion slowly faded into panic. Kamau's heart pounded as he realized he was trapped in a situation far more serious than he had imagined. In the confusion that followed, Kamau ran through unfamiliar streets, his thoughts racing faster than his feet. Fear gripped him like never before. He was no longer thinking about easy wealth or luxury cars. Instead, he thought about his mother waking up early every morning to earn honest money and the disappointment she would feel if she discovered what he had done. In that terrifying moment, Kamau realized that shortcuts often lead directly into danger. By morning, Kamau sat alone on a quiet bench in a small park overlooking the waking city of Nairobi. The rising sun painted the buildings gold, and the streets slowly filled with workers beginning their daily routines. For the first time in his life, Kamau truly observed them, the security guards finishing night shifts, the street cleaners sweeping the roads, the vendors arranging fruits on wooden tables. Each of them worked hard, yet there was dignity in their effort. Kamau felt ashamed of how he had mocked people like them for so long. He realized that while he had spent years chasing illusions of easy wealth, others had been building their lives patiently through honest effort. That morning he understood a truth that many learn only after painful mistakes. Real success is not built on shortcuts but on persistence, discipline, and hard work. When Kamau returned home later that day, his mother was surprised to see him awake so early. For the first time in years, he spoke to her with seriousness and humility. He told her he wanted to help at the food stall and learn what real work felt like. At first Mama Wanjiku thought he was joking, but when she saw the determination in his eyes, she simply smiled and handed him an apron. The work was not easy. Kamau woke before sunrise, carried supplies, served customers, and cleaned the stall long after sunset. Yet slowly, something inside him began to change. The satisfaction of earning honest money felt far better than the empty dreams of quick wealth. And as months passed, Kamau discovered that success built through patience and effort may take longer to arrive, but when it finally does, it stands strong like a tree whose roots run deep. And so the young man who once searched for shortcuts learned a powerful lesson. In life, there are no real shortcuts to success. The road may be longer, the work may be harder, and the progress may be slow. But the rewards earned through honesty and perseverance will always last longer than the riches gained through quick and dangerous paths.